So this is the entrance to our little homestead area here. We've got a gate there, and this is our main front yard that comes up through here, but you'll see there's little things and little bits of caution tape that are all around here. These are all the seedlings that I got through the various state nurseries, and I planted them all along the fence line, all up here, in between these guys that were there. You can see them dotted all through there, with the same theory as before, kind of a food forest type setup where taller trees are in the back and then tracking towards the sun, and the way the sun tracks I did smaller and smaller. And so kind of in the back I've got more like pawpaws, and there might be a pecan or two or three or five spread out there. I got some pecans and I really don't know what happened to them, so I think they got randomly mixed in with some of the others, so that'll be interesting. So there's some tall trees as well, but mainly smaller ones that are more like 20 feet, 30 feet in the back, headed towards some more bushier style. These are high bush cranberries that get not quite as big. I've got some hazelnuts shrubs that are spread out in here, service berries, all kinds of things like that. And so you can see here I've got a little guy here. The large established ones, there's three, those are figs. And so coming up the driveway, we've got the big figs that'll get decent size, and the high bush cranberries kind of surrounding them. And then coming up through here, we'll have the smaller trees phasing into larger trees behind them along the fence line. So that should, all of them are edibles as well. So that should be nice. Coming over on the other side of the driveway, if you look over here, there's also some more, starting with this guy here. And again, I'm not quite sure. A lot of these seedlings got a little mixed up. I had literally about 300 seedlings, and so some of them kind of got jumbled, and I'm not sure exactly what's where. It wasn't worth keeping track on paper, so we'll just see as they come up, but most of them are doing well. As far as I can tell, this is the only one I've noticed that doesn't look like it's going to make it. And out of the hundreds I planted, that's saying a lot, especially in, like over here, it's really bad soil, really hard, compact clay, rock. It was a pain to dig, but these are doing well. You can see there's maybe one there, one back there. That's an oak, I do know that. Oak in the back, and another oak. You can see leaves popping up kind of right by that pig house here. And then coming out from that, I do remember I did pawpaws. I did 1, 2, 3 pawpaws coming out from that. Maybe service berries or choke berries, something like that. Not quite sure, but all of these were the same in the front that were a smaller variety of some kind, whatever I ended up going with there. And this is the original pig area. You can tell they've kind of torn it up a little bit, but it's not horrible. I dug a bit of a pond down there, mainly because I needed some dirt, and there's some really good soil over there, so I dug them a small pond. We haven't been filling it up, but it fills up in the rain. We filled it up if it gets hot, and this summer we'll probably have some 90+ degree days that'll be really nice for them. And this is their little pallet house that I made for them when we first got the pigs, and so I can come in here and show you what that is. So this is the pig area here. This is a temporary fence line. Our property actually goes through the woods here, and eventually I'm going to clear that out and run a fence through there. But as you can tell, it's pretty thick, pretty gnarly. There's poison ivy, ticks, all kinds of stuff. I'm avoiding that. But if you look in here with the pig area, I made them a nice, comfortable little pig house out of pallets and scrap plywood and stuff, and filled it with a lot of hay. Worked really well for them this winter. They stayed nice and warm. Fairly recently, a few weeks ago, I ended up, you can see there's a fence that runs along here that separated the pig area from the chicken area. And down at the end over there where it meets up with the edge, I ended up peeling back the fencing a little bit back there and making an opening. And so now the pigs and the chickens are actually together. The idea was there's really good pasture out there, and we wanted the chickens in here to do tick control because we found some ticks on the pigs, and so hopefully the nice symbiotic relationship will work well. It has been going really well. The chickens are loving it. They're following the pigs around, and as the pigs root stuff up, chickens eat the grubs and worms, and it's going pretty well. Another thing, kind of along the driveway here, are service berries. I did a lot of small service berries coming up. And then that one, if you can see it back here, is a chestnut. So that'll be a little bigger. And then opposite that, in the pig area, I did another chestnut here. So those are chestnuts. There's another one, you can see a bit of a cage right here. I think that was a chestnut. No, that's one called Lily of the Valley. And that's an ornamental, not edible, but we really liked it, ordered it, and hopefully it'll be as pretty as it looks in the pictures. But in between these are hazelnut shrubs. They're already starting to leaf out, and just planted those about a week ago. So that's a very good sign. So I did the Lily of the Valley, the chestnut, and then hazelnuts in between, kind of coming up. And then coming up on this side, we've got service berries with the chestnut out there, and then service berries come up. And there are lots. Ooh, this guy's leafing out too pretty well. So that's nice. And I did those every, I don't know, 15 feet or so, 20 feet, something like that. And they're doing pretty well. I think I noticed one that looks a little iffy. We'll see. Got a willow here, the big giant oak already established. Had planted a maple last year back there, sugar maple, a pink dogwood, really pretty when it blooms. And then starting here was the original idea for an alley. That one redbud, the big tall one, was already there. And so what I did is I planted another redbud opposite it. And then coming back from that, I did some sort of flowering cherry. They have big pink blooms on them. And then here are the, I believe they're called Rising Sun redbuds, where they have these light colored leaves that are really pretty, kind of a yellowish tone. And as I said, service berries start lining from there on that side. And over here, I've got two Hall's Hardy almonds. And that kind of finishes off the more established alley, and then kind of continued that theme with trees on either side of the driveway going down. Should be really pretty, especially as especially as they flower and start getting bigger. We've got lots of pollinators out here, wasps and bees, and my son is not a big fan of them, so we will try to avoid those guys. But looking into the orchard here, we've got a jujube berry there, a jujube here. We've got these established more alley trees in the front, and everything back here is orchard stuff, different kinds of fruits. There's peaches and apples and pears and one random willow back here. Everything else is orchard varieties. And then along the back fence line, way back along there and all the way down, so all the way through the pig area, the original pig area, is hazelnut shrubs. And I planted those all along this border there. Then starting after that, I've got two cherry trees that'll get decent size, so I didn't do too much here. But in between those and then moving all the way down is a mixture of all the different seedlings I got. There's pawpaws and service berries and chokecherries and I don't know, pecans and oaks and all kinds of things. I'd only gotten a few pecans and a few oaks because they're very large. But again, some of those got mixed in, and I'm sure one or two of them will pop up in a random place. But they're very nice trees, so if I don't like them and it's not a place that's conducive, I can take them up. But then the fence line along here, I planted some blackberries, native blackberries in the back of that fence, and then coming up some smaller things, some high bush cranberries and service berries and stuff. So that fence line will have stuff as well. Oh, and two more things. This is a maypop passion flower vine here, and there's another one, if you can see right there, that red mulch around it. So this fence line should be covered with those vines, and they have very pretty flowers, so that'll be nice. Coming over here is my garden area, more the food forest, permaculture kind of style. And then coming along here, as you can tell, the pigs have started to kind of root up areas. They've only been in here a few weeks, but they have started to do that, and the chickens are liking it, and it's going really well so far. But along here, I also did some service berries and pawpaws, I think were the two mixtures, all on this fence line. So that should be medium to small size trees. Shouldn't be too big, and the sun comes from that direction, comes this way, and when it goes overhead, as you can tell, there's a giant oak tree here. And so these are trees that actually do well in part shade or most shade, pawpaws especially, so that should work out pretty well. I obviously do not mow all of this pasture area. I've mowed some paths in between my orchard trees and went through there and filled in. I'd shown in another video where I kind of laid down cardboard, cut some tomato cages up and used some scrap fencing to make little cages, and I filled that with leaf mulch, so that'll keep the weeds down even when I let it kind of grow up. But in the areas that I did mow paths through, the pigs have come through and kind of tilled it up and rooted it up, and then the chickens come through and do their thing, and so it's gone pretty well. There's a rooster. We have one rooster. And then along that back fence line is where I'd said I'd planted those seedlings. So coming along through here, I'd also done this very recently. This didn't exist a week ago, and I had some scrap wood, this scrap piece of countertop I got from somebody, that metal table was in the garage, that cabinet was the only thing out here. Kind of made a nice little setup here for all of our gardening type stuff, and my leaf blower, because it leaks gas and I don't want it in the garage right now. But other than that, it's all kind of the extra stuff, mostly garden stuff. And then this is another gate that I made at some point out of some old barn wood. So coming through the gate here, you can see there's that rooster. He's not sure what to think about us. But this is the chicken coop. So this wasn't here originally when we bought the place. This giant overhang was here and that's it. And there were some posts. I think there's a post here and a post on that corner, and they had horse stalls. And so I converted that into a big chicken coop. So as you can see, it's not exactly polished and a factory made look, but it's nice. We'll see, don't want to disturb. Yep, there's at least one hen in there. But there's nesting boxes here that you can easily lift this little door up and access. So that's pretty handy. And then if you come around, I had an extra door. That was the original door for my garage, and we ended up replacing because it's kind of falling apart. But I put it up here for the chicken coop, and that way you can walk in, can clean it. You see the roosting rods in the back here. That is another set of nesting boxes that they were getting in and pooping in a bunch, and so I covered those up. And these ones, for whatever reason, they don't get in at night, and we don't get a lot of poop in them, so that's nice. Speaking of which, I need to clean this out soon. So we used to just leave that door open, let the chickens come in and out. Once we let the pigs in, we realized the pigs really liked it in there, and they slept in there the first night. We didn't want the pigs in there disturbing the chickens, so I basically cut a hole in here, put some plywood, ran this little kind of hook guy on an eye bolt, and made a little chicken door. And obviously the pigs cannot get through that. Back over on this side is the other nesting box, the back side. As you can tell, I kind of jerry-rigged most of this with stuff I had on hand that was free. So bungee cords securing it, things like that, but they work well. So that's the nesting boxes there, easily accessed, and it's this bungee cord, very handy. I put something up here, you can do that, holds it up and clean them out, get your eggs, whatever, and then easily detach it and swing it back down. I have a similar thing on the other one with the little hooks that I have on there. These were the old doors on the front of our garage. There used to be giant big barn doors, you can tell, very large, and so these are just the extra ones. One of them I turned sideways, put here, and screwed it to these posts, and now this is the area that the pigs like to lay in at night. This is kind of their safe zone over here, out of the weather. Here's all my scrap wood. I've got some scrap doors we used to grow vines on our old house, extra tomato cages and fencing. All kinds of extra stuff under this overhang. Works pretty well, keeps it out of the way. There's some rain barrels eventually I'll hook up at some point. And back here is the fence line I had mentioned earlier. So we had a really bad drought last year and a lot of stuff died. If you can tell, those two are dead. They didn't make it, but there's a Leland cypress, and there's another, I don't even remember what that thing's called. Evergreen bush, looks kind of holly-like and gets berries, very pretty. There's some other Leland cypress, and then all along here in between all these are the various seedlings that I've planted. Then the other thing I did was I made a little strip. I don't know how easy it is to see here, but yeah, there's some along here you can tell, such as right here and right here. You can see the caution tape. Well, I ended up kind of zigzagging all through here And this section that's really high grass, I didn't mow over. That's pretty much the strip that has another row of seedlings all through here, as well as back along the fence line. So there'll be kind of a path that goes in between the ones on the fence line and the ones in the middle. And there'll be, these are the smaller, more small trees and shrubs that go along there. So then coming up this direction, we can go back through the back way. I actually just made this a few days ago, so we're going to try to have one of the hens, one that looked a little broody. Didn't actually work out, but hopefully another one will get broody and we can do chicks. So I did some temporary fencing all around here. I made a separate little area, used an old dog kennel and put some nice fresh hay in it and covered it up with a tarp, and should be a very comfortable place to have some chicks in here, and they can be out in the grass and be pretty protected as well. It's a pretty safe area here. And so that's the plan. Again, that didn't work out with the one that we thought it was going to work out with, but hopefully that will work out with some. As you come over here, this is all my extra wood. Got some more extra large tomato cages I need to deal with. This is just wood and stumps that I've had from before, wheelbarrow, just extra storage material type stuff, cinder blocks, things like that, that I use for all kinds of random projects. And these are the kind of finished garden beds. Now we have all these garden beds. They're going well. The strawberries are really taking off this year.